Right, we have. Do you enjoy the short stories? I think we're really proud of our short stories at Joined Up because every year we've done it, we've heard from local and not so local people doing youth and children's and schools and chaplaincy work. And we just feel it's inspiring, it can be helpful, you can sometimes find a new contact, a new friend to talk to afterwards. So we hope all those things for these next 4 stories. Not sure if the slides are ready upstairs. But the 4 we're going to hear from this afternoon. First of all will be Lisa Wigfield from URC Shire Green. She's going to come to talk to us about her baby and toddler work. We've got Catherine Clayton. If you went to the Kids Matter workshop, Catherine's going to tell us some stories for 4 minutes. We also have Dan, who's run a workshop today as well, talking about chaplaincy. And then we've got Home for Good, one of our partnering organisations, Home for Good, Simon Nicholson, who's going to come and tell us a little bit about foster caring. And he's a local boy in Sheffield as well. So could I invite Lisa, first of all, to come out? Lisa, as you know, you have 4 minutes and only 4 minutes. The Oscar-style music does start fading in if you go over, which I'm sure you won't. All right, over to you, Lisa.
Thank you. Hiya. I'm Lisa Wigfield, and I'm the Church and Development Community Worker at Shire Green United Reformed Church. And I'm sort of here with a voice for our children's worker, which is Kaylee. So I'm going to take all the credit for this baby and toddler group, but actually it's down to Kaylee. So a bit of a history of Shire Green United Reformed Church and their involvement with children and families. It started back in 1994 when it was recognised that in the area there was something needed more than just kids coming to church on a Sunday morning. And also it was the families that needed some support. So we did that outside of the church as such, but it's all within the church building. And since then, it's moved on massively and gone backwards in some ways. It just grew and grew and grew. There were lots of funding around to do all sorts of things, so we went into lots of training courses and things for parents, and while still doing the core support through toddler groups and the after school club and junior church. So pre-lockdown, we were generally week on week and summer holidays, we were doing the basic toddler group and a junior club, what I always called it after school club, but it's officially junior club. And as part of that, we recognised that these children that we were working with each week weren't actually coming to church on a Sunday morning. And although we're a church, we're not about making people come on a Sunday morning. So we started up within that group what we called our Munchty Church. And so once a week, we had normal activities that we would usually have, but they might relate to a story that were later told in church by Jenny, primarily, and mainly Jenny, who did a workshop this morning, I think, on godly play. And then we'd all sit down to eat together. And sometimes it were a success, sometimes it were an absolute nightmare, but there you go. Sometimes kids would sit and listen, sometimes they'd be climbing all over chairs, and, they had been at school all day, so they needed to let some steam off, And then lockdown happened, and obviously we didn't see anyone. So Kaylee and myself decided that through lockdown, the run-up to Christmas, we'd do some what we thought were children's activity packs that started off as we could do a few activities and drop these things off for people, just so that they'd still got that connection with the church and particularly the Christmas story. And that ended up being 24 crafts, and we took 44 packs out to different families. I then stupidly was on YouTube showing these kids how to make these crafts and things, but there you go. And then again in lockdown, we did an online Christingle session. Again, lots of families that had got, that could join us on Zoom joined us. And then Easter, we did another goodie bag. Is that me going? Oh no, and I talked about children. The baby group came from the lockdown, and it's fabulous. And Kaylee's amazing.
If you'd like to know more, please speak to Lisa before she finishes. We need a countdown, don't we, up there? We don't have one. Thank you, Lisa. I love your honesty. Sometimes it works and sometimes it's a nightmare. Doesn't that sum up our youth and children's work and our schools work and our families and our lives? Don't have a breakdown on stage. Right, I'm going to introduce Catherine to come out. Catherine, you once again have 4 minutes, or the magic music will start. Catherine from Kids Matter, your time starts now.
Thank you. Right, countdown's on. My name's Catherine, and I lead the partnerships team at an organisation called Kids Matter. And at Kids Matter, we've got a vision to see every child in need raised in a strong family. And we do that through reducing the impact of poverty on children through our community-based parenting programmes. And so to make that happen, we train churches, we partner with churches to run our programmes for families facing economic disadvantages. And we work with churches because you guys have got the long-term relationships, you're in the local community, and you can maintain those relationships long-term. And we know that where parents are confident and competent in their parenting, children thrive, families thrive, communities thrive, society thrives, and we see God's kingdom ushered in. And I'm hoping that the tech team have got a 90-second video to show you now of a story of one parent who attended our programme. So over to the tech team. My time's going. Okay, I'm going to tell another story while the tech team are hopefully getting that ready. So one other story that we have from a lady... Oh, starting, okay.
Before I started the Kids Matter program, I had problems myself. I had anxiety, depression, so I just struggled day-to-day basis. I shut people out in my life, like my family and all that. So I was in a bad place at the time. I've let it get the better of me. I've let it do things that stop me to become the parent that I should have. I felt like a failure as a mum. I felt like a bad mum at the time. So going to Kids Matter, it has changed me a lot. And I'm grateful that I actually got the opportunity to do this, just because, and to show how much I've become better in myself, how much I became as a parent, and that the relationship with me and my children.
Thank you. And just one other story to finish with. So at the beginning of 2021, Zara started coming to one of our Kids Matter groups in Bristol, primarily because she was asked by social services as her 2 boys were in foster care. Just before the first session began, she received a phone call to say it was likely the boys would be put up for adoption. She was understandably devastated, and it was amazing that she even continued with our programme. She felt helpless and hopeless, but fought hard in the weeks and months following. In April, at the end of the 6-week programme, she was no nearer to having the boys returned to her care. However, she was starting to have supervised contact. Her confidence and hope grew enormously. In session 1 of the programme, she wrote that one goal for her parenting was to help them trust me, and she rated the stage of this goal as 0. By session 6 of the programme, she rated it at 10. In early July last year, Zara had her first overnight stay with her boys. And as of October last year, Zara had her boys back with her full time. It was a Kids Matter programme that enabled Zara to gain that confidence, that competence, and the community that she needed to have her boys back, that sense of belonging. When we asked Zara if we could share her story, her answer was a resounding yes, if it helped other parents like me. So hopefully those two stories give you an insight into the importance of working with parents or families that are facing disadvantages. Thank you.
So if you're quick and you'd like to connect with... Oh, no, too late. If you were quick, you could have zapped that code. But search Kids Matter and you'll find more information online there and resources. Dan, your 4 minutes on chaplaincy starts now.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to be one of those people who I swore never to be, which is just someone who's going to keep talking until the music starts. But I do reserve the term chaplaincy, really. I don't like to call myself a chaplain, mainly because I reserved that term for the Reverend Jem Mullis, who was the chaplain at the school that my church was physically connected to. She was chaplain there, and she sadly passed away last May. And she was the most phenomenal chaplain ever. And so I don't like to call myself a chaplain, really, because she was, and still is, to be honest, the real chaplain at Emmanuel Junior Academy, which is in Waterthorpe in the east of Sheffield. But I work now at the school as a blank insert job title here, supporting collective worship and RE lessons. And I use that term support really emphatically, because I believe really in this sustainable kind of ground-up model of supporting. So rather than leading RE lessons and leading collective worship, I support and enable staff and pupils to do it themselves. Mainly because when I'm not there, obviously it needs to still happen and happen well. And so enabling the staff to be the best that they can be and to support people in that. But I do lead collective worship on a Tuesday. The day of the week's not important. I don't know why I put that in. And support staff in their class collective worship as well, which is on a Thursday. I work closely with the learning mentor at school, so we're in constant conversation on things like intervention. So we use Lego therapy, Mighty Minds, which is a sort of social skills workshop, which is needed more now more than ever. At this time, particularly after COVID, and supporting staff as well, supporting them in around issues of faith, and of course supporting them in their RE lessons. The biggest challenge is, and probably always will be, connecting my work with the church, rather than just connecting me with the school, is connecting the church with the school. It's a challenge for us all doing schools work, and without getting annoyed at the church by saying, I know church is just not about a Sunday morning, but it is beginning to bear fruit, because we do lots of interchangeable stuff with the church and school. So this Sunday, tomorrow at Cafe Church, we're exploring what warms our hearts. And the Methodists among you will be going, yay! So thinking about the Aldersgate experience. And at school, they've already been doing that. So they've all been creating little hearts that they're going to stick up on the wall. And we're doing exactly the same at church tomorrow. And the children... as well, they have reflection boxes in their classrooms, and so they also go between school and church, and we'll be doing the same. So we'll be praying for things that were on their minds and their hearts, and then we're going to pray. They're going to pray for things that are on our minds and hearts. I'm there to serve the school, and my final piece of advice, which actually might mean I've finished before the music, is be a yes person. Say yes to anything and everything you are offered in school, because it doesn't always come around. I'm so blessed to spend 2 days there a week.
Wonderful. So when they ask you to come and clean the toilets, we know who's the yes man. I've also been asked to say the Chaplaincy course, which is run in Sheffield, is also starting again. You have a little flyer in your bags, which looks like this little postcard. And it starts on 22nd of June. If you're interested in to train to be a chaplain in your local school, then please check that one out. Our final story is led by none other than Simon Nicholson. Simon's connected with Home for Good, which is our partner organisation for today. Simon, you've got some stories of foster care to tell us. You have 4 minutes.
Starting now. Thank you. Lovely to be with you. I'm Simon, and it's my wife and I's great privilege and pleasure to be foster carers. It was something that we've been thinking about for about 10 years, and then we applied about 4 years ago and were approved about 4 years ago. And in that time, we've had the privilege of looking after 3 children, a 2-year-old boy and siblings who were both under 2. We also have 2 of our own birth children, a 12-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. And, gosh, what to say in 4 minutes? We wanted to us it was really important to keep a natural order in our family, not to foster older than our children. We wanted to foster younger and keep that natural order. That was really important to us. In the future, we might look to fostering siblings, more siblings, and possibly additional needs. And this is something we do as a family. This isn't me as a foster carer. It's not my wife as a foster carer. It's not our children. We do this as a team. This is a team effort. And just to say, possibly a misunderstanding is about children coming into the care system because they're not loved. That may be the case, but it's not always the case. Generally, parents love as they experience love, and from very early age, they're wired to repeat that, for better or worse, when they have their own children. And these things run in cycles, and you might have, in Bible terms, generational blessings and curses, but these things often repeat down generations. And what a privilege to be part of God stepping in and breaking some of those cycles. It really is. Gosh, how can a church help? So many ways. You may have foster children in your church, you may have adoptive children in your church. Listening, can't underestimate that. Spending time, getting down on their level, making eye contact. Eye contact is so important to children. Filling in childhood gaps. These children will all have different experiences. I won't forget the time that the 2-year-old boy who was with us, he loved swimming, loved going in the paddling pool, loved going swimming to a swimming pool. The first time we took him to the sea, and he realised he could swim in the sea. Absolutely priceless. Fighting for their rights. We're advocates for people. We're a voice for people who don't necessarily have a voice or don't have a very loud voice. So fighting for their rights. As a church family, modelling appropriate behaviour, but not expecting it immediately. Gosh, we're very fortunate to be part of a small group at church. It was about 30, it's not so small. But things that Sarah and I are saying and doing with the foster children, they see repeated amongst the other 30 or so adults in the group. It's not just us saying it. There are other people. There are safe men. There are safe women. Oh, there's 10 safe men. There's 10 safe men. Maybe men can be safe. Maybe women can be safe. These are important messages, and these are often caught rather than taught, actually. Seen and experienced. Got lots more to say, and lots of music. Happy to talk more if anyone would like to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you to all our short story contributors, and also thank you to Home for Good and the Children's Society, who are our partners for our conference. Megan, back to you.